I want you to think about the last time you walked somewhere. To your kitchen. Down your driveway. Through a parking lot. You probably did not think much about it. Most people do not. Walking feels like the most ordinary thing in the world. But here is what your doctor knows, and what most never find the time to tell you. The speed at which you walk is one of the most powerful predictors of how long you will live that medical science has ever discovered. More predictive than your cholesterol levels. More predictive than your blood pressure reading. In some studies, more predictive than your age itself. And the difference between a speed that signals danger and a speed that signals strength is something most seniors could change within weeks. If they only knew what to look for. In 2011, a research team led by Dr. Studenski at the University of Pittsburgh published what became one of the most cited studies in geriatric medicine. They analyzed data from 9 separate research studies covering more than 34,000 older adults. The participants ranged in age from 65 to 104. The researchers measured one thing: how fast each person walked a short distance, typically between 4 and 6 meters, at their normal comfortable pace. Then they tracked survival outcomes over periods of up to 21 years. The results were so consistent across all 9 studies that the research team described walking speed as a, and I am quoting directly here, a simple and reliable summary indicator of vitality. Seniors who walked at a pace of 1 meter per second or faster, roughly a comfortable, purposeful stride, had significantly better survival outcomes across every age group studied. Those walking slower than 0.6 meters per second, a noticeably slow, cautious shuffle, had dramatically reduced life expectancy. The researchers concluded that walking speed should be considered a vital sign. Like blood pressure, like heart rate, like body temperature. A number your doctor should be measuring and tracking at every single visit. Most are not doing this. Now you might be wondering how something as simple as walking speed could possibly tell us so much. The answer is that walking, despite feeling automatic, is one of the most complex integrated physical tasks the human body performs. To walk at a healthy pace, your body must simultaneously coordinate your muscular system, your cardiovascular system, your nervous system, your respiratory system, and your skeletal system. Your heart must pump efficiently enough to deliver oxygen to working muscles. Your lungs must exchange gases quickly enough to keep up with demand. Your nervous system must send and receive signals fast enough to coordinate each stride. Your muscles must be strong enough to propel you forward and reactive enough to keep you stable. Your bones must be dense enough to absorb impact without fracturing. When any one of these systems begins to struggle, your walking speed drops. It drops before you feel sick. It drops before a diagnosis is made. It drops before most symptoms appear. This is why researchers call walking speed a summary indicator. It is your body's overall report card expressed as a single number. And like any report card, it tells you where you stand and where you need to put your attention. Let me give you a way to measure this yourself at home. You will need a tape measure or a rough estimate of distance and a phone with a timer. Mark out a distance of 4 meters, roughly 13 feet, on a flat surface in your home or outside. Stand at one end. Start the timer. Walk to the other end at your normal comfortable pace. Not your fastest, not your slowest, just how you naturally walk. Stop the timer when you reach the end. Divide 4 by the number of seconds it took you. That gives you your walking speed in meters per second. Here is what your number means. Above 1.0 meters per second, you are in the strong zone. Your body's integrated systems are functioning well together and your longevity indicators are favorable. Between 0.8 and 1.0 meters per second, you are in the moderate zone. This is common and very improvable. Small targeted changes produce rapid results at this level. Between 0.6 and 0.8 meters per second, your body is signaling that multiple systems need attention. This range is associated with meaningfully higher risk of hospitalization, disability, and mortality in the research literature. Below 0.6 meters per second, this is your body asking urgently for help. Not in a way that should cause panic, but in a way that demands honest action starting now. Write your number down. Date it. This is your baseline. Here is something the research reveals that most people find genuinely surprising. Slowing walking speed is not an inevitable consequence of aging. It is a consequence of specific, addressable changes in the body that happen to become more common with age. Let me explain what those changes actually are. The first is stride length reduction. As people age, they tend to take shorter steps. This is partly a protective response. The nervous system becomes more cautious as balance confidence decreases, and partly a result of hip flexor tightening from prolonged sitting. Research from the Gait and Clinical Movement Analysis Society found that reduced stride length accounts for a significant portion of overall walking speed decline in adults over 65, and that targeted hip flexor and glute strengthening directly reverses this pattern. The second is cadence reduction, meaning the number of steps taken per minute decreases. This is directly linked to fast twitch muscle fiber loss, the same fiber type we discussed in our last video about balance. When your reactive muscle fibers diminish, your legs simply cannot cycle through steps as quickly. The third is what researchers call double support time, the proportion of each walking cycle where both feet are simultaneously on the ground. In healthy young walkers, this is about 20% of each stride. In older adults with declining functional fitness, it can rise to 35 or even 40%. More time with both feet on the ground means less propulsion, less efficiency, and a slower overall pace. Each of these three factors is trainable. Each can be improved at any age. In 2014, the American Geriatrics Society formally recommended that walking speed be incorporated as a sixth vital sign in clinical care for older adults. A sixth vital sign. Alongside blood pressure, heart rate, temperature, respiratory rate, and oxygen saturation. Yet a survey of primary care physicians published in the Journal of General Internal Medicine found that fewer than 15% of doctors routinely measure walking speed during appointments with older patients. Fewer than 15%. Partly time. A standard appointment is 15 minutes, and measuring gait speed requires space and a stopwatch. Partly training. Many physicians graduated before walking speed research reached its current prominence, and continuing education does not always catch up. And partly the same reason many important preventive measures fall through the cracks of a system designed to treat illness rather than prevent it. This is not a criticism of individual doctors. It is a description of a system that was built to respond to crisis rather than to protect function. Which means the responsibility for monitoring this particular vital sign falls to you. You now have the knowledge and the measurement method. Use them. Here is the practical information I want you to leave this video with. For specific, research-supported interventions that have been shown to increase walking speed in older adults, often within 4 to 8 weeks. The first is targeted stride length training. This sounds technical, but it is beautifully simple. When you walk, indoors or outdoors, consciously focus on taking slightly longer steps than feel natural. Not dramatically longer, just noticeably longer. Research from the University of Colorado found that deliberately practicing longer strides during regular walks produced measurable increases in walking speed and improvements in hip flexor flexibility within 6 weeks. Count your steps over a fixed distance one day. Then aim to cover the same distance in fewer, longer steps the next. Your hip flexors and glutes will respond to this challenge faster than you expect. The second is cadence training using music. This is one of the most fascinating findings in the walking speed research, and it is almost entirely unknown outside of sports science circles. The human nervous system naturally synchronizes movement to rhythmic auditory input, meaning your walking pace unconsciously matches the beat of music you are listening to. Researchers at the Rehabilitation Institute of Chicago found that older adults who walked while listening to music with a tempo of 100 to 120 beats per minute walked significantly faster, with longer strides, and with better symmetry than those walking in silence. 100 to 120 beats per minute. Songs like Walking on Sunshine, Uptown Funk, September by Earth, Wind and Fire. You do not need a gym membership. You need a playlist. The third is sit-to-stand repetitions. We discussed this briefly in video 1, but I want to add the walking speed dimension. Research published in the Journal of Aging and Physical Activity found a direct correlation between sit-to-stand performance and walking speed in adults over 65. The muscles responsible for powerful chair standing, the quadriceps, glutes, and hip extensors, are the exact same muscles responsible for propelling the body forward during walking. Strengthening them through daily sit-to-stand practice directly translates to faster, more confident walking within weeks. 5 in the morning. 5 in the evening. The simplest and most transferable exercise available to any senior anywhere. The fourth is what researchers call attentional focus training. This one surprises people. A study from the University of Exeter found that seniors who were given a specific point to walk toward, rather than just walking aimlessly, walked measurably faster and with better posture and coordination. Having a destination, even a small one, activates the motor cortex differently than undirected movement. When you walk toward something. A specific tree. A lamppost. The end of a path. Set small targets and walk deliberately toward them. Your nervous system responds to intentional movement differently than habitual movement. And that difference shows up in your speed. There is one more dimension of walking speed that I want to make sure you understand because it is rarely discussed and it matters enormously. Walking speed is not just a physical measurement. It is also a cognitive one. Research from the Rush Alzheimer's Disease Center in Chicago found that slower walking speed in older adults was associated with accelerated cognitive decline, including memory loss, reduced processing speed, and higher rates of dementia diagnosis, independent of cardiovascular health. The brain and the body's movement systems are far more integrated than most people realize. The prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for planning, decision-making, and working memory, is directly involved in regulating gait. When walking speed slows, one contributing factor is often reduced prefrontal cortex function. And in the other direction, improving walking speed through the methods we discussed today has been shown to produce measurable improvements in cognitive test scores in older adults. Move faster. Think more clearly. The connection runs in both directions. I want to leave you with a thought that I hope stays with you. Every step you take is a conversation with your future self. Not a dramatic conversation. Not a heroic one. Just a quiet, consistent message you send forward through time with each stride. When you walk a little longer today, you are telling your cardiovascular system it is still needed. When you take a slightly longer stride, you are telling your hip flexors they are still in service. When you walk toward something with purpose, you are telling your nervous system it still has direction. None of this requires a gym. None of it requires equipment. None of it requires more than 20 minutes a day of deliberate, purposeful movement. But that 20 minutes, compounded over weeks and months and years, is the difference between the senior who walks into a room and the one who is helped into it. Between the person who travels at 75 and the person who watches others travel from a chair. Between the life you are living and the life you are fully capable of living. Your walking speed is not destiny. It is a starting point. And starting points are meant to be left behind. Here is what I want you to do today. Measure your walking speed using the method I described. Write the number down. Then tomorrow morning when you walk, anywhere, for any reason, put on music with an upbeat tempo and consciously take slightly longer strides than feel natural. That is it. That is your entire assignment for this week. Simple enough to actually do. Powerful enough to actually matter. If this video helped you, please subscribe. Every week we bring you the specific, honest, research-backed information that helps you live longer, stronger, and more independently. Share this with someone you love who is over 60. Because this is exactly the kind of thing that changes lives when the right person hears it at the right time. See you in the next video.